I want you to picture something. You're sitting in traffic. It is just this absolute sea of red brake lights on a Tuesday morning.
Oh, the absolute worst.
Right. And you're heading into this corporate job that pays well, sure, but you are completely burned out. You are just dreaming of being your own boss, controlling your own calendar.
Yeah, it's a very common feeling for a lot of people listening right now.
But, and this is where it all falls apart, the moment you start actually picturing a business, your mind immediately goes to, like, $1 million commercial lease.
Right, or pulling plumbing permits.
Exactly. Buying all this crazy expensive equipment. Well, today on the Deep Dive, we're looking at a business model that flips that entirely. Right. We've got this whole stack of financial breakdowns and case studies about a virtual, low-overhead, B2B digital marketing and AI consultancy franchise.
Which is a mouthful, but it's so fascinating.
It really is. We want to see if the reality actually matches that entrepreneurial daydream you're having in your car.
And it's a very specific daydream we're unpacking today. I mean, it all really comes down to franchise buyer psychology.
How do you mean?
Well, the most successful transitions from the corporate world, they happen when you stop looking to just buy a job.
Right.
A job where you're doing all the heavy lifting yourself, making the sandwiches or whatever. The strategic move is to align yourself with a system that offers high-demand services, a recurring revenue model, and a really robust support infrastructure.
Which brings us perfectly to the specific brand we are analyzing today, because they target a very specific demographic, which is basically businesses in that $1 million to $5 million annual revenue range.
And we really need to pause on that for a second, because understanding that specific target market, that is the key to this entire model.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. A business doing 1 to 5 million in revenue, they are successful. They have cash flow.
Sure.
But they are usually operating very, very lean. They probably do not have this massive in-house dedicated chief marketing officer.
Or a whole digital marketing department. They might have like an office manager who sometimes posts on social media between answering phones.
Exactly. That is exactly who is running their Facebook page. So they rely on external experts to scale. They have the budget to pay for high-quality consulting, but they desperately need a strategic partner to come in and actually guide them.
Makes sense.
They're just the perfect client, money to spend, but this glaring knowledge gap that needs to be filled.
Okay, wait, hold on, though. Let me stop you there. Because looking at the company history and the data we have here, this brand started in 1995.
Yep, 1995.
Which is, that's a massive red flag for me. That is literally the dial-up era. It is pre-Google.
It is.
In digital marketing, a strategy from, 2022 is already obsolete today. So how on earth is a company from the 90s leading a charge in an industry that changes every 6 months? It feels a little bit like trying to sell pagers in the smartphone era.
I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, but their age is actually their core structural advantage.
How so?
Because you do not survive 3 decades in the technology sector by selling the exact same product.
That's fair.
You survive through just relentless adaptability. Their entire model is built on what they call a consultant-led approach.
Okay, break that down for me. What does a consultant-led approach actually look like in practice?
It means the franchisees aren't just out there selling websites as this static commodity. They are stepping into a local business and figuring out how to completely future-proof it.
Right.
And right now, that focus is heavily, heavily on artificial intelligence. They are consulting these $1 to $5 million businesses on things like ChatGPT ads, advanced local SEO, and lean marketing.
Okay, let's unpack some of those terms because ChatGPT ads and lean marketing, they can sound a little bit like tech buzzwords.
Mm-hmm.
What is the ChatGPT ad in this specific context?
Sure. So think about how a local business used to run an online ad.
Okay.
They would hire an agency, right? And the agency would spend 2 weeks writing maybe 3 different versions of an advertisement.
Right, and they'd charge a fortune for it.
Exactly. And then they would test those 3 ads slowly over time. It was expensive. It was incredibly time-consuming. But now, with AI integration, this franchise system can generate 50 hyper-targeted variations of ad copy in seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. They use AI to analyze exactly what potential customers are searching for, and then they dynamically adjust the ad messaging to match that search intent in real time.
Okay, so lean marketing just means, doing way more with way less friction.
Exactly. It's using AI to remove all those traditional bottlenecks. It basically allows a mid-sized business to deploy marketing campaigns with the speed and precision that, honestly, used to be reserved for Fortune 500 companies.
I want to look at the case studies we have because I was reading through the performance metrics before we started, and the numbers seem almost impossibly high for local businesses.
They are staggering.
Yeah, like take the Moto 36 Yamaha dealership. They partnered with this franchise, and the documents claim a 65% surge in conversion rates. They turned 2,500 leads into 1,600 actual sales.
Which is a massive jump.
Right, so how are they physically pulling off a 65% increase in the local market?
Well, that goes right back to the AI-driven targeting we were just talking about. They aren't just throwing a wide net on social media and hoping, someone wants to buy a motorcycle today.
Just boosting a post and praying.
Right. The mechanism here is predictive analytics. They are tracking user behavior to serve the exact right Yamaha ad to a user who has been browsing financing options for motorcycles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, within a 50-mile radius at the exact time they are most likely to click. So when you eliminate all that wasted ad spend and you only talk to really warm leads, your conversion rate naturally skyrockets.
That makes a lot of sense. And they replicate this across totally different industries, too.
Yeah.
Because there is another case study here for Sonoma Lavender, which is a wellness brand, where they drove a 700% surge in organic traffic.
700%.
Yeah. And then there's Blake Bush Family Eye Care down in Oklahoma. The franchise applied local SEO tactics and saw a 400% growth in patient bookings. But, and this is the stat that really caught my eye, 94% of patients booked on their first visit to the eye doctor's new website.
And you know why that happens? Because they eliminated friction.
Right.
Think about it. If you have a clunky website from 2014, a patient has to, hunt for the phone number.
They have to call during business hours, wait on hold.
Exactly. It's a hassle. But the franchise comes in, they optimize the site for mobile, they integrate a totally seamless automated booking system, and suddenly a patient can book an appointment at 11:00 p.m. from their phone in 3 clicks while they're watching TV.
That is what digital transformation actually looks like for a local business.
Yep.
And because they deliver that kind of measurable return on investment, the client retention must be massive, which, that changes the entire mathematical equation for the person buying the franchise, right?
Completely changes it.
Because if your clients stick around, you aren't starting from zero every single month. What does that actually look like on a balance sheet for the owner?
Well, this brings us to what I call the holy grail of this specific business model, which is recurring revenue.
Okay, let's do the math on that.
Sure. When you operate a purely transactional business, say selling physical products in a retail store, a transaction happens and it's over. You have to wake up the very next day and find a brand new customer just to make new money.
Right. It's a treadmill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But digital marketing and AI consulting, that is an ongoing monthly need. A business does not just optimize their search engine ranking for 1 month and then stop.
Right. Because Google changes its algorithm, competitors move in.
Right.
You have to constantly maintain that digital footprint.
Precisely.
Right.
They don't run predictive ad campaigns for 2 weeks and say, okay, we have enough customers forever. So these are monthly retainer services.
Right.
Because of that, the franchisee builds a compounding book of business. Let's say you bring on a new client paying a $2,000 monthly retainer. Month 1, you make $2,000. If you bring on another client in month 2, you are stacking that new fee on top of your existing base.
So you start month 2 at $4,000.
Exactly. And by month 6, you could have a really healthy baseline of revenue flowing in before you even make a single new sale that month.
That completely changes the psychological reality of owning a business. You aren't operating in a state of constant panic about next week's revenue.
It provides immense peace of mind. And when we contextualize that recurring revenue with the actual unit economics, like the actual cost to get into this franchise, it becomes very compelling.
Yeah, let's lay out those numbers for people listening.
Yeah.
Based on the financial documents, the total investment range to open this franchise is between $100,000 and $150,000. The actual cash liquidity you need is between $60,000 and $95,000, and you need a net worth of $200,000. You pay a 10% royalty fee on your revenue, and it is a 10-year renewable agreement.
So for a corporate professional who's looking to transition into ownership, that is an incredibly accessible barrier to entry compared to traditional models.
It really is.
Yeah.
If you want to open, say, a popular boutique fitness studio or a quick service restaurant, You might easily spend $750,000 to $1 million just to build out the physical space.
Easily.
You're paying for commercial ovens, architectural permits, specialized plumbing, massive signage all before you even open your doors or make a dime. Here, that $100,000 investment is going entirely toward your training, the proprietary operating systems, and your lead generation.
Right, you aren't buying deep fryers, you know? You are buying a highly sophisticated business engine, and the virtual nature of this franchise is just a massive operational advantage.
There's no real estate.
Exactly. You don't have to worry about securing prime real estate with high foot traffic. You don't have to manage a retail staff of hourly employees who might call in sick and force you to cover a shift at 6 a.m.
You can just run this from a home office or a co-working space or really anywhere with a solid Wi-Fi connection. You are literally taking back those 10 hours a week you used to spend sitting in that highway traffic jam we talked about earlier.
It offers genuine work-life balance. But as an analytical buyer, and I know the people listening are analytical, you have to ask the next logical question here.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going. The freelancer dilemma.
Yep.
Let me just ask it on behalf of the listener because I know they're thinking it.
Yeah.
If this is a virtual consulting business, and my overhead is basically just a laptop and an internet connection, and I am charging these local businesses a monthly retainer, why on earth would I give up 10% of my top-line revenue to a franchise system?
It's the elephant in the room.
Right. Why not just set up an LLC for $50, call myself a digital marketing consultant, and keep every single penny of the profits?
It is the ultimate skeptic's question. And answering it really requires a deep dive into B2B buyer psychology and the hidden fatal costs of being a solo freelancer.
Okay, walk me through those hidden costs. Because 10% feels like a lot to give away if you can technically just do it yourself.
So when you decide to go it alone, you are wearing every single hat in the organization.
Right.
You are the lead generation specialist. You are the salesperson closing the deals. You are the accountant. You're the web developer writing the actual code. And you are the SEO specialist trying to keep up with Google's daily algorithm updates.
And there are only 24 hours in a day.
Exactly. If you are sitting at your desk writing HTML code or configuring some complex AI ad sequence, you are not out networking and selling. And if you are not selling, your pipeline completely dries up.
You become a massive bottleneck to your own growth.
That's exactly the phrase. A solo freelancer usually hits a revenue ceiling very, very quickly because they simply run out of hours to fulfill the work they just sold.
So how does the franchise system eliminate that bottleneck? Like, what is that 10% royalty actually buying you on a daily basis?
I like to use the analogy of a general contractor building a custom house.
Okay.
If you want to build a really high-end custom home, the general contractor is not the person pouring the concrete in the mud. They aren't running the electrical wire, and they definitely aren't hanging the drywall.
Right. They manage the client, they understand the blueprints, and they coordinate the actual experts.
Exactly. When you buy into this franchise, you are stepping into the role of the general contractor. You are buying a global network of over 825 units, supported by an 80-person headquarters staff. The franchise has this massive network of vetted global execution partners.
So, as the franchisee, I'm definitely not writing the code.
No. Your job is to be the strategic architect. Your day involves meeting with that local eye doctor, understanding that their booking system is losing them patience, and proposing a digital solution.
And then what?
Well, once the client agrees and signs the retainer, you hand the exact specifications over to the franchise's execution team. They build the website, they run the ad campaign, they manage all the SEO technicalities.
Which frees you up to go have another meeting with the motorcycle dealership across town.
Precisely. It allows you to focus 100% of your time on building relationships, interpreting the data, and scaling your client base, rather than constantly tinkering with software. You are building an enterprise, not just creating a high-stress freelance job for yourself.
That is a huge distinction. But there is another layer to this that I think is maybe even more important, and it goes right back to that B2B buyer psychology you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at the credibility markers and the brand documents. This franchise has won 145 prestigious WMA Web Awards since 2007.
Which, by the way, is a monumental achievement in the digital space.
It is. But what fascinated me is how they weaponized that for the new franchisee. Because that trophy case isn't just sitting in some corporate lobby and headquarters. When you sign the franchise agreement, that 30-year history of excellence instantly becomes part of your story. You get to leverage those 145 awards in your local market on day one.
And this is exactly where the aha moment happens for people trying to understand that 10% royalty fee. We have to look at the psychology of the local business owner you are actually pitching.
Right, the person running the $5 million company.
Right. What is their biggest fear when hiring a marketing consultant?
Getting scammed, probably. Hiring some guy working out of his garage who promises the moon, takes a massive deposit, and then completely ghosts them in 6 months.
Exactly. Local business owners do not buy marketing, they buy risk mitigation. Trust is the actual currency of B2B sales. A successful $5 million business wants stability. They want a proven track record. They want to know that if something goes wrong, there is a massive infrastructure behind you to fix it.
So if I walk in as a solo freelancer, I probably have to spend the first 5 meetings just convincing them that I am legitimate and won't disappear on them.
Right. But if you walk in as a local consultant backed by a 30-year-old global powerhouse, the trust is implicit. You offer global insights that deliver local results. The 10% royalty you pay to the franchise is not really just a fee for services, it is a trust rental.
A trust rental. Wow, I actually love that phrasing.
Yeah, you are renting 3 decades of unbroken, proven trust and passing it off as your own on day one. When you look at the incredibly high failure rates of independent marketing agencies compared to a supported franchise system, that 10% royalty suddenly stops looking like an expense and starts looking like a very, very inexpensive insurance policy.
It guarantees that you won't get laughed out of the boardroom.
Exactly.
That is a completely different way to look at it. It is the difference between being a lone wolf, begging for a chance, and walking in as the established authority. And right now, the timing for being that established authority seems pretty critical.
It is the single most important factor in this entire discussion because the technology landscape is shifting faster right now than at any point in history.
You were talking about the AI explosion.
Yes. Every single local business owner, from the lavender farm to the recreational vehicle dealer, they are reading the exact same headlines we are. They are seeing the capabilities of artificial intelligence, and honestly, they are terrified.
Because they know they need to adapt, but they don't have a clue how to actually do it.
Exactly. They have no idea how to integrate AI into their marketing funnels or their customer service or their daily operations. They are just staring at this massive, intimidating void, and nature abhors a vacuum.
So whoever steps into that void is going to clean up.
Without a doubt, whoever can walk into their office, demystify the technology, and guide them safely through this digital transition is not just going to be a vendor. A vendor is someone you buy a website from and then replace when a cheaper vendor comes along.
Right.
But the person who uses AI to future-proof their entire business model, that person becomes an indispensable long-term business partner.
You aren't just selling digital marketing services anymore at that point. You are selling certainty in a highly uncertain time. You are the trusted navigator.
And that is the true value proposition of this franchise model. It equips you to be that exact navigator, with a global team executing all the complex technical work behind the scenes while you build the wealth and stack up that compounding recurring revenue.
It really is a fascinating ecosystem. I mean, we've looked at how the AI-focused services deliver these measurable returns. We've broken down the low overhead unit economics, and we've dug really deep into the psychology of renting that global trust.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.